Spider-Woman for me is the most sexually attractive superhero of all time.
If you were to cast Spider-Woman, do you know who I think we should cast?
Who?
Hypatia Lee.
Hypatia Lee, really? I was gonna say Linda Dano.
Linda Dano, I know that name. Who is that?
Felicia Gallant. Like, if they were gonna make Spider-Woman in the early 80s, let's be honest, Linda Dano would have killed it.
Did her and Cass Winthrop ever bone?
I don't know, were they ever married or...
I actually mourned when Another World ended.
Oh. You give my life.
Speaking of Another World, let's talk about Star Wars.
Two analog guys just trying to survive in a digital plight. Once upon a time, a video store was like a discotheque on a Friday night. But this is life after late fees. One man's nostalgia is another man's heartbeat. Life after late fees. Your trip down memory lane is how we eat. Life after late fees.
When you leave the theater and tears are just coming out of your eyes because something that you worshipped, something that you loved so much was humanized.
Philip, you were so mad when this ended in the theater. Do you remember the anger you had when we got back to the car?
Well, you have to understand too that Newfoundland, St. John's, was, because of the time zone, was one of the very first places that actually got to see this movie. Am I correct in saying that?
Oh, this was a hullabaloo.
I mean, Star Wars was dead for many, many years.
I wouldn't say dead. It was still always in the cultural zeitgeist.
You're right and you're wrong. Think about it, man. There was this era where nothing existed except, okay, you got Timothy Zahn trilogy, and if you were hardcore enough, you'd read some Dark Horse or some Kevin J. Anderson stuff. But that was pretty much it. Then Super Nintendo games were released. It was on the back of everyone's mind, but it was your childhood. And then they released those 97 movies. I mean, Jurassic Park was the first thing that actually poisoned the well.
Jurassic Park poisoned the well?
Absolutely, because it gave Lucas that kind of hard-on. He was like, you know what? I can go back and toy with my classics, and I think I'm ready to tell these prequel stories.
Well, we were so excited. Do you remember the first time you saw that poster, the Shadow and Vader, and you were like, oh my god, Vader. The build-up to the movie was incredible, including getting to the theater to see it. It was all incredible till the movie was over.
I went out and spent a goddamn fortune, and I worked in a video store at that time, and that's all. I was getting $4.25 an hour, for God's sakes. I went out and bought every Star Wars figure. I was like, this is important. This means something. Right?
The movie kind of validated a lot for me. It was like, the whole world loves Star Wars now.
Look, as much of a travesty as this film really is, my favorite thing was the build up to this, when we actually lined up overnight like a couple of assholes for tickets. And yeah, there was 3 girls, and I remember looking at you, and we were pretty high. I can remember that. We're like, we're gonna stay here overnight, we're gonna get these tickets, there's 3 chicks here. This was pregnant with possibilities.
The odds were in our favor at the time.
And so I checked out the scene first while you were parking the old Dodge Shadow there. And you were like, so, tell me about the chicks. Well, they were reading books. You're like, what were they reading?
Christopher Pike novels. You know what? It was still a fantastic shared experience.
I do remember somebody dressed as Bib Fortuna with a lightsaber.
Oh, you, the Dark Jedi. Bib Fortuna walking through the mall as casual as anything and goes to have a pretend fight with that Dark Jedi guy who just leapt out and went to town.
He attacked him in the middle of the Avalon Mall. And we were all, that's when I started to realize, like, you know what? I don't think that I'm as insane as a lot of these fans. But this is when people started to go from Star Wars fans to Star Trek nerdiness.
What was going through your brain just before the 20th Century Fox came up?
Oh my god, look man. Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. I don't even need to explain to you how important these films were. So the fact after this drought, this long, we were about to see a new George Lucas directed Star Wars film, my god almighty, man.
I had tears in my eyes. I was so excited. I couldn't believe that the time had come when we were actually going to see what happened. I was excited by the idea of a prequel. I couldn't wait to see it. Movie ends. How do you feel? It was the movie equivalent of a gas pedal. It was like Lucas would spread your legs apart and pushed his foot into your crotch. I'm gonna tell you the one thing I hate most about this movie. Lack of practical effects the whole movie. The entire movie from beginning to end looks like it's done on a green screen.
From Star Wars Episode 1, it's a selection of epic proportions, and they are waiting. Toys R Us.
May the Force be with you.
Okay, that ties into the thing that I like the least about this film is the acting. How in the hell did you manage to take a great cast like that and make them into absolute community theater? It looked like a goddamn Star Wars porn parody.
Well, it has been kind of slow in the barracks.
Okay. Can I start defending a couple of roles?
Before you say that, your green screen, blue screen, attack. That's the reason. You take actors, you don't give them scripts because you don't want anything leaking. You're like, here's 3 or 4 different scripts in case someone leaks it to the press. Run with that, and here's the set that you're in. There is nothing around you except green screen. Respond. Here's a mop. We're not telling you what it is.
I gotta tell you, I'm gonna disagree. There's some excellent roles in this movie. The problem with this movie lies not in the acting, it lies in the writing. All of the dialogue is so wooden and mischaracterized and misappropriated. How did you feel when Jar Jar Binks said, "Excuse me"?
Did I do that?
Like TGIF, ABC.
How rude! How rude!
I don't want to level an accusation against the Phantom Menace, though. Is this the most racist movie of all time?
You know, business is business, huh?
Well, it felt like you were watching Songs of the South, you know what I mean? But at the time, that didn't bother me. Dude, I'm a white dude. I was not sitting in the theater at that time in my early 20s saying how racist it is. I was saying, wow, this is super shitty. Right from the title crawl and the writing, I was like, what is this?
He got what the miss is saying.
I'll try spinning. That's a good trick.
Man, the first 20 minutes, Star Wars starts with that Star Destroyer attack. Empire, Hoth, Jedi, going to Jabba's palace. These are huge moments. This felt like we were watching Canadian politics.
I move for a vote of no confidence in Chancellor Valorum's leadership.
The chair recognizes the senator from the sovereign system of Naboo.
Alright, yes, anytime you sow the seeds of dissent and you have a giant Senate behind the whole affair, Chancellor Valorum,
Chancellor Valorum.
Chancellor Valorum.
I don't understand timelines, so he aged quite a bit to get to the Ben Kenobi stage, I think. How long was he on Tatooine? Like, Luke was born and became his age? That was a rough 20 years in the Tatooine desert.
It took me 20 years to be able to sit down and talk about this. I haven't watched this since we watched this in the theater, and just prepare myself for tonight. I rewatched this, and I thought maybe it would age well. Maybe I matured. Maybe I wouldn't be so bitter and angry. God damn it, man. This thing made me even more furious.
I have a very different attitude towards modern Star Wars movies than you do. When I watch it now, I'm like, yeah, it's got a few things I like. It's not the best Star Wars movie, but it's a Star Wars movie. And it's not the worst movie ever made. It's just got a heap of problems. Yes, the writing is terrible.
Scrawny dough pot, Slimo.
Yes, some of the acting is wooden.
I will sign no treaty, Senator.
But it's got some memorable characters.
Good night, but not goodbye.
My favorite characters that were absolutely racist as shit were these guys.
This is getting out of hand. We should not have made this bargain.
Do you remember in the original Star Wars film watching the making of, and they used to have fantastic linguists and they would work on this language of bocce and stuff. And this time it's just like, these are the Japanese guys.
Oh, fucking great!
It was so goddamn lazy. Actually, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna say it. One of my favorite movie characters of all time was that Asian dude that's like,
they've gone up the ventilation shaft.
よくなんかも知らないじゃないか。それに比べて志村のとこ見てみろよ。
Jesus Christ.
Philip, we can't be this racially charged, for fuck's sakes. My favorite is Qui-Gon Jinn looks like he's on the front of a romance novel, doesn't he?
Oh, Jesus.
Do you remember when we went to the bathroom and someone had a giant shit?
Funny enough, that was the first review for the film. Are there not, like, enough hungry, talented child actors out there that could have played this role better?
Yeah.
Or, forgive me, could there at least been something, as a director, maybe a take two?
Yeah, I guess, but once again, I think the writing was bad. I don't think Jake Lloyd was bad. I thought he did an admirable job as a child.
I'm a person, and my name is Anakin.
This kid was a child.
Once again, do you know what? Do you know what lets Jake Lloyd down in this? Lack of practical effects. That's what this movie comes down to me. That's the biggest weak spot. Jake Lloyd was acting against green screens. Had Jake Lloyd been with actual sets and... Like, I know, like, there's always green screen, but I feel like so much of this is green screen. Like, it looks like a Doctor Who episode, is my point.
This whole episode is Doctor Who. You're absolutely right. Jake Lloyd was a child actor who didn't want to be a child actor, and it's as simple as that. But I'll tell you what, and I don't want to leap ahead, he was a hell of a lot better than Hayden Christensen.
Okay. Well...
Casting was outrageous. I mean, you know, besides they nailed it with Kenobi, Portman had potential. She even looked like Carrie Fisher. You know, there was moments in this film where it's just like it got me excited when I was watching the trailers and you see little press release photos. I was like, man, this is gonna be awesome.
You know what this movie was? It was like being at a high school party and a hot girl, she goes across you and she caresses your crotch and you're like, ooh, but it never goes anywhere.
Unless you're talking about your dick, that's a chatter, Red Tube.
It's a ball heater.
This movie is a cat rubbing its ass on your leg, is what this movie is.
This film just builds up prom night. It's like, it's going to be amazing. We got a kegger. Moochie's going to be there. We're all going to get laid. And then all of a sudden, reality kicks in.
It's just difficult for me because I've always been a Star Wars apologist, and you know that. I am the ultimate Star Wars apologist.
I don't know why. You seem to have like battered wife syndrome when it comes to Star Wars.
Okay, well, I don't think this is the worst of them.
A travesty.
It was like Dawson's Creek does Star Wars.
Oh my god, like that love scene? I've never seen a film that had two people that absolutely had no chemistry.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
Let alone know where the hell they were or what this story was about.
I'm haunted by the kiss that you should never have given me.
It was like if I tried to make out with my mom.
Oh, absolutely. Can you imagine, like, you and your mom are the two greatest actors in the world? Okay? This is an established fact here right now. Okay? You and Dot on top of the world. We gotta have the two of you. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to have a love scene with your mom.
That's Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman's chemistry. Summed up.
What have I done?
I will say, though, that there's so much darkness and shit out there. It made this movie seem so not important to me anymore. Right? I invested so much time hating this shit, arguing about Ghostbusters remakes. This world has been so divided on so many issues for the wrong reasons. When I go back and I watch this, I'm like, no, it's flawed, it's imperfect, it's not a classic Star Wars film, but at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean?
You know what, Philip? This movie, viewed through the lens of a child, is good. And that's how I treat all of the Star Wars movies now. When I watch them, I try and watch them as though I'm a child. So when someone says, yeah, but how did the Emperor survive after the Death Star blew up? I'm like, I don't know. Because you know what? 9-year-old Corey wouldn't be asking those questions. I'd just be like, oh my god, the Emperor's back. So I am a Star Wars apologist through and through. This, for me, belongs in the pantheon of Star Wars movies.
Okay, you know what, though? Thank you for saying that, though. Because fuck what I just said and fuck you. Because 9-year-old Corey would be stupid enough to get into a rusty van with a guy that says, hey, I got free ice cream. Just because you're dumb enough to say, hey, that sounds good to me, doesn't make it right.
Well, you know what? If that don't make it right, I don't want to be wrong.
Well, fantastic. You're going to end up buried out in a ditch somewhere.
Yeah, but all I did was watch Star Wars. It's not exactly the same as being captured by an ice cream man and murdered in a desert. I think you just delivered the harshest review the Phantom Menace ever saw.
It took our childhood and just said, hey everyone, we got free candy, get on in. And then some dark shit, lovely bone stuff happened, man.
A lot of Hollywood executives out there had hoped that I'd hoped they'd heard the worst from people. I think you just upped them.
You lovely bone stuff.
I prefer to watch it and enjoy it.
And you know what?
Good.
Fuck me for saying that earlier. I don't know what happened. It was a momentary lapse of judgment. This is garbage, and those new ones are garbage too. Fuck you, Kathleen Kennedy.
I'm on your side, guys. Kathleen, Dave Filoni, everyone who's doing Star Wars stuff. I'm digging it.
You lovely bone stuff.